Hello everyone, my name is Steve Laguna. Today we'll be doing a PowerPoint presentation on the mental disorder Pyromania. In this video, I'll be doing a general description of the mental disorder, the diagnostic criteria under the DSM-5, prevalence rates, comorbidities, the differential diagnoses, and lastly, the common treatments. For the general description, pyro being fire, mania, uh, meaning and a state of elevated mood, arousal, and energy. And under the DSM-5, pyromania is categorized as a disruptive impulse control and conduct disorder. More so, it is labeled as an impulse control disorder because of its characteristics of the recurrent compulsions to set fires. The term refers only to the fire setting for sexual or gratification provided by the fire itself. And lastly, that pyromania usually being a symptom of underlying psychopathology. So let's go over the diagnostic criteria. Starting with A, the deliberate and purposeful fire setting for more than one occasion. B being the tension and the arousal that one feels before they act or before they set a fire. C being the fascination, the interest, the curiosity or attraction when setting a fire and its situational context, so where they set the fire. Criterion D being the pleasure, gratification, or relief one feels when they set a fire, whether they witness a fire, or lastly, whether they participate in the aftermath of a fire. Criterion F, which is a really big one, and I'll explain why. The fire setting is not for monetary gain. It is not for a socio-political statement or for a concealment of criminal activity. It is the fire is not used to express anger or for vengeance. It is not used to improve one's living circumstances. The fire setting is not explained or as a result of someone suffering from a delusion or hallucination, or as a result of impaired judgment. And that impaired judgment could be underlined by someone who has a major neurocognitive disorder, someone with an intellectual disability or intellectual developmental disorder, or that of it being a consequence of substance intoxication. And criterion A helps one differ the diagnosed component of someone who's setting a fire or someone being diagnosed with pyromania different from someone who is an arsonist or someone committing arson and that person having the criminal or fraudulent intent of setting a fire for willful or malicious burning of property. And lastly, we see that F being that the fire is not better explained of another conduct disorder, a manic episode, or of someone who is diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Prevalence rates. So here we see the prevalence rates are really low at a 1.13% of the general population, and this statistic is used from the DSM-5 based on that of the population studied for someone setting fires and being diagnosed with pyromania, and that being a pyromania is it seems to be very rare. However, we do see gender differences of those who are diagnosed with pyromania, and we see that it's more common in males, especially those who lack or suffer from social skills and learning disabilities or learning difficulties, and this is more explained of the social cultural perspective, where we see that those who are of lower socioeconomic status tend to have a higher risk in developing mental disorders such as pyromania, whereas someone of a higher socioeconomic status, we see that they have a lesser risk in developing mental disorders. Going into the differential diagnosis, we see that the DSM-5 points out two things. That of being that the causes of the fires have other intents, and that of being referring back to criterion for someone does set fires for monetary gain, for a social political statement. They do a fire to conceal criminal activities, much of an arsonist, and as a result of expression of emotions, anger, or revenge. We also see that that there's childhood experimentation of fire settings, whether a child plays with matches, lighters, or fires. We also see that the different diagnoses can be better explained of a conduct disorder, a manic episode, or of antisocial personality disorder. Here we have the comorbidities, and because the prevalence rate is relatively low for pyromania, we see that pyromania is usually comorbid with a primary mental disorder such as substance use disorder, gambling disorder, depressive and bipolar disorders, usually with the relation in manic episodes. And we see that pyromania can also be comorbid with other similar disruptive impulse control and conduct disorders. So here we have the common treatments, and here we see that because due to the high risk of death, injury, damage to property, or incarceration of those who set fires, someone that is diagnosed should seek treatment immediately. We see that pyromania starts in early childhood and then progresses into adulthood, and it's not something that just stops. It's not a mental disorder that just goes away. Uh, with proper treatment, it can be suppressed. So here we can see that cognitive behavioral therapy seems to be more successful in effectively treating those with pyromania. It allows the individual to learn to pay attention to the feelings of or tensions that build up, figure out what exactly causes them to have the urge to want to set a fire, understanding the effects or why they receive or why they can feel relief of setting fires, and also to model new ways to be able to release those feelings or urges. And lastly, we see that family counseling also seems to be effective in enabling both the family members and the individual who is diagnosed with pyromania to be more conscious of fire safety lessons, being able to maintain a safe home environment for both the family and the individual, and at the same time to be able to expose the person diagnosed with pyromania to people who have suffered from burns from fires, whether those people are victims of fires or they themselves are diagnosed with pyromania. And that is it. Thank you all for watching.